Hi, today we're going to talk about the 5 coping strategies high performers use to keep their survival mode undetected, even by themselves. And so that's what we're going to dive into today. I'm Rachel McLeod. I'm a mental health therapist, an emotional wellness coach, and a therapist mentor. And I specialize in helping people do the brain work for resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. The brain has a beautiful process for this. It is wonderful. It's fast. It's long lasting. It's keeps growing on top of the growth it's already developed, and this process can get stuck. And so when that happens, stuck and impaired and not functioning. And so when that happens, we're going to see all types of symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. And also, we're going to see uh, challenges in relationships, in how you're doing business, how you're doing life, how you're doing relationships. Really, all the things that are the most valuable and important to us really start having problems when this process goes offline. So I really specialize in helping people get that functioning, get that moving, and get the brain up and creating health and wellness at its optimal capacity. And then giving it a tour around, hey, what about over here, brain? Can you help us out over here in this area and resolve the symptoms over there? Great. So that's really what I do. That's my specialty. But I want to talk about these 5 coping strategies that high performers use because a lot of times high performers will really go under the radar of with their survival mode. And that means that their survival mode, meaning that they're actually in a survival mode state instead of thriving and wellness state. And this can be really costly for their health, for their relationships, for tons of things. And when we make this shift, they still get to be high performers, but from a thriving state, from a whole brain state instead of survival mode. Survival mode happens when our survival system, our limbic system, is detecting a danger or threat to us. It can be real or perceived. This is what post traumatic stress comes from. It really kicks up that survival, the limbic system. And when we are operating under the brain state that includes survival mode, right? The survival system is operating things, then we're really working with fight, flight, freeze, faint, or fawn. And a lot of high performers are in their inner world fighting for their lives. And so on the outside, they can look cool as cucumbers. They can look highly successful. People are looking up to them, and they are held on pedestals. They're phenomenal. And really, inside, they've got these other challenges going on that are depleting them, that are compromising their health and all sorts of things. This is where burnout comes from. This one issue is really challenging, and they can fail to get the help that they need to shift out of this and really thrive, because people don't see the problem right in front of their eyes. And lots of high performers don't see this problem, and because it's been going on their whole life, this is how they have operated, this is how their survival mode has presented itself their entire life. So this is normal. This is just, what do you mean? Yours doesn't do this. I don't know what you're talking about, right? Because it's like a fish in water. What do you mean water, right? It's just there. Okay, so I want to highlight these things and these strategies. And I want to also say this: high performers who know that they have some issues, they can't figure out where they are, may have gone to lots of therapy, and their therapist is actually impressed with them. Their therapist is actually thinking, well, what are you got problems for? I don't see it. Lots of therapists will tell them that you have enough coping strategies, you're going to be fine, when really this is not an okay place. And even though they're high performing, they still deserve health and wellness and really need to correct this. So a lot of them have even gone undetected in the therapist's office, right? And so, but when you know these things, then you can get some help for them. And also, if your therapist is overlooking these things, downplaying them, does not see these signs, you need to move on so that you can get the help you need. You deserve to thrive. You deserve wellness. You deserve relaxation, calm, peace, safety, all these beautiful things that you deserve. Okay, so um, let's dive in here. I think I've set this up. Okay, one of the first ones that we're going to see is intellectualization. And so this is where we're talking about things. High performers will talk about their emotions, their experiences, their challenges from a very high level of intellectual understanding. And so you will sit across with them and you feel like you're mapping things out and you're looking at things from all these angles. And it's really impressive. And at the same time, we are not involving some other layers that need to be here. It's very one dimensional. It is excluding the fact that we have all of this emotional intelligence that comes through the form of our emotions, and from other parts of our mind body system outside of our prefrontal cortex that is valuable and needs to be included. A lot of our challenges are not even logical problems, and intellectualization is using logical processes to resolve problems, to examine problems. But really, the problem is actually not even on the logical level, it's usually on the emotional level. Most relational challenges are on the emotional level. Lots of things like survival mode in businesses is on the emotional level. It doesn't make logical sense. We can't create a strategy, a logical strategy for this. We actually need to come into the emotional level layer of this and work there and explore there and look and strategize from the emotional level. And when people are using intelliz oh, I can't talk. Intellisection. I can't talk. Hold on. Intellectualization. Okay, I had to hook my brain up here. When we're using that, we're also usually compensating for the inability to have emotional success. We're compensating for the inability to feel our emotions. We're compensating for not prioritizing emotions in our life. And a lot of times people have so much uh, emotional pain that if they try to go in that area, they start melting down, shutting down, becoming overwhelmed, and dissociating. And so when that happens, we learn early on, might as well not even do it. Let's just intellectualize this. Let's just stay up in the prefrontal cortex. We'll work from there. And a lot of things in life are rewarded by doing that. If we'll just be intellectual, we will be rewarded. That's why people go through therapy and don't make any changes, because their therapist is rewarding intellectualization, right? And in childhood, these look like our smart children. These look like the children that um, really are easy and they just don't have meltdowns. And this is, I have a lot to say here. Sometimes I'm practicing saying things for the first time over here. I was having the same conversation today in a therapy session. And okay, so this is how I want to say it, is that we are not one dimensional. We are multidimensional. It is so important that we get to be multidimensional. And sometimes in early childhood, our parents cannot support a multidimensional child. They need to be able to support a child who's going to be easy, going to be gosh, there were several other things on there that I want to bring up to attention here. They need them to be, I'm going to start over on the list here. Hold on. This is a tough topic. Okay, and let me tell you why this is a tough topic. This is my topic. I have done the same thing. I have escaped. And this is why high performers do not escape me in therapy, that I am going to make sure you get health and wellness, because we need this. Okay, this is also tough for me because I know this topic inside and out. I can feel this topic and I don't have a lot of words for it. It's still very much in the kinesthetic form. So now I'm trying to come up here and I'm trying to intellectualize with you all about it, and my words are just meh. Okay, but I can't tell you what it feels like to have to be a one-dimensional child. Have you ever had to be a one-dimensional child? Right? There's different levels of this. There's the child that had to be emotionally one-dimensional, like happy, the bringer of joy and peace, right? that they really weren't allowed to have downtime, downsides, negative emotions, distress. That wasn't allowed. So they're learning to be people that are high performers. We need those other sides too. Health and wellness is made from all of these sides. We need to become multidimensional people. We are not just sunshine and joy over here. We are we're angry, we're depressed, we're sad, and those things are healthy. They're good. They're parts of ourself that our brain and mind and body use to understand the world, to thrive. But when we haven't been allowed to be that way as early childhood, we stay in that pattern. That's we're conditioned, right? So to build out these other dimensions of ourselves, the emotional dimension, the relational dimension, the being authentic, being seen. I'm going to talk about those here in a moment, but that's specific brain work. It needs to happen. If it didn't happen in early childhood and it's left you with a one-dimensional living, in intellectualization, which is not the rich wealth of the human experience. We're emotional, we're mental, we're spiritual, we're relational. There's so many things there, and if you've only got intellectualization, you're going to struggle in these other dimensions. It's going to be frustrating and dissatisfying for you and those you're interacting with because they want more of you, and you don't know how to give more of you because you were conditioned to be a one-dimensional, two-dimensional high performer. And you've got it down so good that it's seamless. You can't even recognize it. Your therapists can't even recognize it, right? And so that's that's where we're at here. Another coping strategy is preparing. You're just prepared. You're prepared 3 steps out. You've prepared for what you're going to say to this person, what you're going to do there. You're prepared for their next 4 years. You're prepared for the zombie apocalypse. You're prepared for everything. This is a sign that you might be in survival mode. And I'm going to tell you the things, and then we'll get to the other pieces. Okay, another coping strategy for high performers is productivity. Moving, completing things, go. This makes people really pleased with you. You get A's all through school. You are productive. You're running circles around people. People are like, I don't know how you do it all. You don't know how you do it all. We're going to talk about that in a moment, but you're doing it all. And if you're not being productive, you feel like something's wrong. But you don't really know that because you're so productive, you're so busy being productive that you never stop and just do nothing and see what that feels like. And it likely feels very wrong. Try it out. If you can't do that feature function of not being productive, or perhaps even some people call this relaxing, then there's something going on in there. We need to rebuild those programs out and really do some shifting with the productivity. That you are much more valuable than just your productivity. That you bring more to relationships than just productivity. This is part of being one dimensional, right? So another thing high performers use is humor, right? So this has to do with being uncomfortable being seen in multi-dimensionality, right? Needing to maybe talk about somewhat difficult things, but we're going to put a lot of humor on it because our job is to make people happy, and our job is to really go undetected, be easy, don't bring down the mood. We should be up in high performance. Talking about all this other stuff is not very good, but hey, let's throw some humor on it and we're good. And we can distract people from these big bombs we drop off that, to anybody who knows about survival mode, looks like, holy cow, that's a problem. And we just move people right on along our conveyor belt into, don't look around here, keep it moving, we're all fine, right? And these things are unconscious. We don't necessarily know that we're doing it, but a lot of times people start to understand that they're coping with humor. And then, right, and so that's when the light bulbs are turning on. That's when our own survival mode is starting to come out to us, and we're starting to be like, I see you, right? We don't necessarily know what to do yet with this, but I see it, right? And so this is a good sign. It's a good place to be. And it can be really frustrating to watch yourself keep laughing or keep making jokes. And when you're like, why am I doing this? Just stop it, knock it off, Rachel, whoever you are, knock it off, and you keep doing it. It's part of survival mode. It's fawning, fight, flight, freeze, faint, and fawn, right? That humor is about fawning, is about keeping people happy and safe around you, keeping them in pleasure, pleased, happy. So, um, another one of these, the last one I'm going to talk about is this coping strategy that high performers use that keep them undetected, that they're in survival mode, is being the best self all the time. Okay, when right all the time is the problematic area. This is the You're not allowed to be a multidimensional person. If you have done your healing work and you have played with all these things and your system really does grief and sorrow and anger and fury and rage and all these things super, super well. And so you're now at a place where you're mostly you're all the time in your best self. Fabulous. But that's not usually how it works. We're going to skip all that and just go to the best self all the time. We're holding ourselves at a high state. And this is difficult because we're not holding it from actually our brain and our mind body system has built it. We're holding it there based on these strategies. And there's an emptiness to this, there's a loneliness to this, there's a disconnection to this, there is an exhaustion to this because we're not doing it from a whole mind body state. We're actually divided inside and we're holding it together, which most of us have been holding it together our entire life from a tiny child up to now. We have massive hold it together muscles. And what we actually need to start building is the skill of letting it fall apart, letting ourselves have some negative emotions, letting ourselves be seen in these other states, and really even learning that in our weaknesses, there's tons of strength in there. And so that's really, really important. Okay, these coping strategies are compensating for fear of the unknown, lack of emotional intelligence, and lack of emotional safety, lack of emotional management. They're also, we're compensating for the inability to be still, to relax, to feel safe enough to relax and to unfold. Uh, a lot of us are also compensating for just the feeling like we're the only ones and we're alone and our needs don't matter to anyone else. That's big in all of this. That's not this. All these things are not. I have a team. Intellectualization. I'm not going to struggle with that again. Preparing, productivity, humor, being the best self at all times is really you. There's a deep feeling of I'm alone. I am the only one that I matter to, and I have to fight like heck because I do. Um, and a lot of this is compensating for being comfortable being seen in a rich dimension of the self that will allow ourselves to be seen here, but we can't here and here. And that these real aspects of ourself, we have to keep them hidden, and that keeps all of us hidden. And so it keeps all parts of us hidden because none of them are authentic just by themselves in one dimension. Um, and then we're compensating for a lack of safety and security. And a lot of this stuff has to do with relational dynamics. These are not people that are complaining about their relationship with their parents. These are not people that are complaining. And mind you, I have tons of clients. I have people that have been massively traumatized by their parent, and they will tell great stories about their parent. They will tell stories about how wonderful their parent was, and they believe that, right? There's it's not safe to see the truth. It's not safe to see it as it actually was, and or we're just so used to it. It was the norm. What are you gonna do? Sit here and be depressed? Some people's inner setup does that. It wants to look at it and review it. Not the high performer. The high performer is like, getting out of here. I'm just gonna climb up here and take the high road out. It's productive. It's high performing. It's not rich emotional health and inner world strength. There's a lot of things that it's not. And so we want those too. And we want those on the depression route, their system takes them down. We want you in there too, right? Both are similar, and we really want to work with that health and wellness. These Coping strategies are safety seeking. If we don't go into the emotional world, we'll be safe. If we prepare for everything, we'll be safe. If we're super productive, we'll be safe, right? They're also it's fear being utilized incorrectly in the mind body system. And so the fear energy is a good energy. If you we can't get that processed, where it's not going to do what fear, the beautiful things fear is designed to do. Fear is turned, when it's completely processed by the brain, it turns into courage, hope, and new beginnings. If it doesn't, it stays as fear, and we have to do something with it. High performers are going to take that fear and they're going to hook it up with productivity, and it's going to be fueling compulsive productivity. It's going to be fueling productive preparations. It's going to be fueling, and a lot of this looks like racing thoughts, panic, feeling like you're going to suffocate, right? If we slow down and look what's in here, it can be really overwhelming, and that's why high performers aren't going to really look in there, right? And so we want healing strategies that help them do this healing work without falling into the massive hole of overwhelm and doom and failure that is in there, that the brain actually needs to be able to start turning it into health and wellness. Then it can be really safe and fun for high performers to get in there, because you take your high performing strategies in there and you are rocking, and you have so much control and power, and really the ability to shape yourself into the person you know you're designed to be, the person who's in fulfilling relationships. This is the fun stuff. And we really want to do this healing work. We want to get in there and heal. Um, we're also doing this to avoid things. Okay, well, let me back up. I want to say we're also doing security seeking. There's, especially in early childhood, when you're the strongest person you know as a 5-year old in your family system, there's a ton of insecurity in there that is unseen and unknown, that is developmentally appropriate. And if it doesn't get reached into and seen and spoken to and addressed, it can last a lifetime. We don't want it to do that. We want to take that insecurity and get it processed and start. That insecurity is right where the brain has not yet made security. So we want the brain to get in there and make that security for us. It will do healing work and a bunch of awesome things, rewiring, tons of things, but also you'll start to see security come out of there. And so we want to help it do that. Also, when we're using these coping strategies, we're avoiding things like criticism, rejection, abandonment, shame, failure, and painful emotions. And so there's some really great quotes out there. Like, I'm going to butcher them because that's what I do with quotes, but you'll get the the sentiment from it, that all the most important transformation comes when you do the hard stuff, right? And that's really appropriate here. And this isn't a space, if you're a high performer that wants to do this healing work, this isn't a space to run in and I just am going to do hard things. No, actually, this brain process I was talking about in the beginning that I help people make sure completes, it actually malfunctions in the presence of pain. That's why it's not working. That's why we've learned it doesn't work early. So we're like, oh, avoid that. We're just not going to try and do this healing thing. Let's do it a different way. Humans are so resourceful. That's what we'll do. And so, but we want to get these things fully processed. We want your processor to process and to complete it, and pain shuts that process down. So we don't want to just go jumping in here. I keep all of my high performers out of here for a little bit, because we have to build skills. I need to know you can jump in your inner world and you're not going to drown. People drown in there. Hello. You didn't build this strategy for no reason. You built it for very real reasons that your survival system knows all about. And we want to help it to start reworking this and make your inner world a safe place for you to walk around in. And that's where you start pulling out these very rich, amazing, beautiful things about yourself, and you start sharing them with the world. Right? This is the experience I want you to have that I know you don't have yet. Right? It's not safe enough to show people some of these most intimate things. And yes, I know you're not going to go share this with everybody. It's going to be a couple of people, but a couple of people. This is huge. So this is really the deal. This is what we want to do. And when we do that, when we're coming out of this state, we're building the more clarity. different dimensions of clarity about ourselves. We're building more connection. We're building more connection with different dimensions of connection with ourselves and then also with others. We're also building deeper communication. There's things that we can't explain because we haven't ever got them through the process where, some of this emotion and feeling actually has to make it through the processor to the part of the brain that gives words to it, right? And then all of a sudden our communication starts improving, our ability to feel comfortable, our new comfort zones, right? We're going to need new comfort zones in different emotions. We're going to need to start feeling more comfortable around our fear, more comfortable around our shame. We need to feel more comfortable in communication. Brains build this. This is the stuff brains build so that you can do the thing with the least amount of effort, with the least amount of resources, with the most amount of skill. And it happens very, very quickly. Also, we're building the ability to be seen. Most of us want to be seen. Most of us don't have the neurology for being seen. It will actually make us feel very terrible, uncomfortable, and maybe even overwhelmed and dissociate if this doesn't get built in. So we need to build that in a way that's sustainable and shows up for us so that we can take risks there and start presenting ourselves, start being authentic, start allowing ourselves to be seen. That's where the rich connections occur. Okay. Also, that's we need to build our safety, our security. These are foundational things. Also, our feelings of belonging. I know that there's not a lot more frustrated than being around a bunch of people and feeling like you don't belong and feeling like you're alone and everybody's there. Everybody loves you. Everybody's saying all these things and you feel nothing, right? That's wiring. That's you. Your system hasn't built receptors for some of this good, yummy things that are all around you emotionally and relationally. We can build that, and then you stop being a one-dimensional high performer and you become a multi-dimensional high performer, which is a very beautiful, powerful thing. So this work is really huge. It's beautiful. There's these coping strategies are not wrong. They're not bad. They're just clues. They're clues that let us know there's things going on in there. There's things that need support. There's things within us that need to be resolved or rewired or supported, and that's these places, these coping strategies, right where we're using them. Those are the spots we can build. We have the opportunity to build tremendous health and wellness. uh, Resources, skill. We get to build out in those spots. This is really where we expand our abilities, right, in those places. And where we get growth and wellness. We want those. And high performers are like, I'm already at the high performing. I know. We're just building out different dimensions of it. But what happens if we build your emotional performance the same level as your intellectual performance? What if we build out your relational performance and functions at the same level as your intellectual ones or your high performing ones? What happens to your life then? I don't know. I know, but I don't know. But it's definitely interesting and worth looking at. So, how we do this is we really walk the brain through its process for doing it. Brains are designed to do this. This actually was supposed to be done earlier in your childhood and your life. Most of us don't leave childhood with everything all sewn up nicely. Definitely not the people that come to me for therapy. There's something we need to rebuild, rewire, heal. And so we want to go through the brain's process for healing, rewiring, exploring. We want to do this with your mind body system, not against it. And there are strategies for this. And I have three of my favorite ones that I want to invite you to pick up and try. These are new ways of working with the brain. We're actually working with the part of the survival system instead of the thinking talk strategy here. I want to bring you down into the part of the brain that actually stops healing from happening. And so I want to teach you to, I want to show you three of my favorite interventions for this, for working with that part of the brain. They're fast, they're easy. And so I've added the link in the description for this that will take you to my free program, Interventions for Inner World Transformation. These interventions are awesome. Try them out. You should notice results right away. I was talking to somebody about interventions, and their intervention was helping them work through emotions after a few days, and I was like, that's long. I would expect intervention that's the right match for your survival system to work instantly, and so I not over days. And so really, that's really what I'm introducing you to is three of the fastest, easiest interventions with the least amount of side effects that I have witnessed get results within seconds, okay, and minutes, right? So I invite you to try that out. If you're interested in going deeper, doing more work, I have a program that I walk all of my therapy clients through, all of my coaching clients through. That's called intervention. No, it's called it's called Inner World Transformation. Okay, Inner World Transformation. The link is in there. You can learn about that. That also teaches these interventions. You need an intervention to work with Rachel and do this brain work. I don't have people do brain work without supporting their survival system. That part of the brain, if it's in agreement with the healing, if it's supported enough to allow healing to happen, the transformation is fast and lasting and awesome. If we're trying to heal and that part of the brain is like, we're gonna die, this is awful, what are you doing? Then we're actually making things worse. So I want to make sure we have an intervention on that helps that part of the brain be very, very happy with this work and to allow the healing to happen. I don't want to work against your brain. I don't want to work against your mind and body. So that's in there. You can dive off and jump into it there. If you're somebody who would like my support to walk you through this on a one-to-one basis, go ahead and connect with me. You can learn more about those programs on my website, rachelmcleod.com, and let's do it. Let's connect. So wonderful connecting with you all. I'll see you soon. Bye.